The Arabian Sea breathes a heavy, salt-laden mist against the shores of Colaba, where the red-domed silhouette of the Taj Mahal Palace Hotel stands as an eternal sentinel of Mumbai's shifting soul. For over a century, this architectural marvel has been more than just a hotel. It has been a theater of the sublime, a limestone and alabaster monument to the indomitable spirit of a man who sought to reclaim his dignity from the icy grip of colonial prejudice. Yet, beneath the Florentine, Oriental, and Moorish arches lies a narrative woven with threads of deep sorrow, immense sacrifice, and a cost that cannot be measured in rupees or gold alone. The Taj is a house of ghosts, not of the malevolent kind, but of the architects who perished before its completion, the laborers whose names have been erased by time, and the victims of modern tragedies who sought refuge within its gilded halls. To understand the dark secrets of the Taj, one must look past the glittering chandeliers of the crystal foyer and into the shadow of 19th century India, where the very foundation of this landmark was laid upon an act of quiet, burning vengeance. The story begins not with a blueprint, but with an insult that changed the course of architectural history. Jamsetji Tata, the pioneering industrialist and the father of Indian industry, was a man of immense wealth and even greater pride. According to legend, a story so deeply embedded in the hotel's DNA that it has become historical gospel, Tata was once denied entry to the Watsons Hotel, then the city's premier elite establishment, because it was reserved for whites only. Whether this specific event was the singular catalyst or merely the final straw in a lifetime of colonial slights, the result was an obsession. Tata did not merely want to build a hotel. He wanted to build a palace that would make the Watsons Hotel look like a hovel, a place where Indians and foreigners alike could be treated with equal majesty. However, the dream demanded a toll. Jamsetji's vision was so grand that it nearly exhausted his financial reserves, and the burden of its creation became a weight that he would carry until his final breath. The Taj was destined to be his magnum opus, but it was also a labyrinthine project that saw its lead architects struggle against the unforgiving Mumbai heat and the immense technical challenges of creating a structure that was decades ahead of its time. As the foundations were dug into the marshy edge of the Apollo Bunder, the hotel began to claim its first victims. W.A. Chambers, the English architect who took over the project after the original Indian designers, Sitaram Khanderao Vaidya and D.N. Mirza, found himself consumed by the sheer scale of the palace. There is a persistent, haunting whisper in the corridors of the Taj that Chambers, upon returning from a trip to England, found that the hotel had been built facing the wrong way, with its back to the sea and its front to the city. The myth suggests that in a fit of despair over this perceived error, he threw himself from a fifth-floor window. While historical records offer more nuanced accounts of his passing, the legend persists because it speaks to the psychological pressure that the Taj exerted on those who brought it to life. The building was a living entity that demanded perfection, and the cost of that perfection was often the sanity and lives of its creators. Even the steel used in the structure, the very first of its kind in India, was forged in the same furnaces that would build the Tata industrial empire, symbolizing a bridge between raw iron and refined elegance, built on the backs of thousands of anonymous workers whose toil in the dust of Colaba remains the hotel's most silent secret. By the time the Taj Mahal Palace opened its doors in 1903, Jamsetji Tata was already in the twilight of his life, his health failing just as his masterpiece began to shine. He had spent a staggering sum of 4 million rupees, an astronomical amount for the era, to ensure that the interior was as revolutionary as the exterior. The hidden cost of the hotel during this period was not merely financial, it was the loss of the visionary himself. Jamsetji passed away in May 1904, less than a year after the hotel's inauguration, never living to see the Taj become the undisputed social heart of India. His death left the hotel as a beautiful but lonely orphan of industry, a structure that had to find its own soul while navigating the rigid social hierarchies of the British Raj. As the elite of the world began to pour in, Maharajas with their retinues, European royalty, and Hollywood stars, the Taj became a stage for the dark secrets of diplomacy and colonial tension. Beneath the surface of lavish galas and high tea, the hotel functioned as a high-stakes neutral ground where the fate of nations was often discussed in hushed tones behind the heavy teak doors of its private suites. The architectural grandeur of the Taj, with its cantilevered staircases and its massive central dome, masked a complex internal world of service and sacrifice. To maintain the illusion of effortless luxury, a literal army of staff lived and worked in the shadowy underbelly of the building. These were the invisible inhabitants of the Taj, the dobis, the masalchis, and the sweepers, who operated in a labyrinth of humid kitchens and narrow service tunnels, far removed from the cooling sea breezes of the balconies. This internal stratification mirrored the very colonial society Jamsetji had sought to challenge. While the hotel welcomed Indians, it also became a site of intense surveillance. British intelligence officers frequently moved through the lobby, keeping a watchful eye on the Indian nationalists who favored the Taj as a meeting place. The secret cost of the hotel's existence during these decades was its role as a gilded cage, where the movement of every guest was noted, and the walls themselves seemed to whisper the secrets of the burgeoning independence movement. As the decades progressed toward the mid-20th century, the Taj Mahal Palace was called upon to perform a duty that stripped away its luxury and revealed its raw, structural heart. During the World Wars, the hotel's grand ballrooms and suites were converted into a 600-bed military hospital. The marble floors that had once felt the light steps of dancers were now stained with the reality of global conflict. This transformation is one of the Taj's most profound secrets. The elite landmark became a sanctuary for the broken and the dying. The psychological cost on the staff and the family who owned it was immense, as they watched their dream of a palace of joy turn into a theater of pain. Yet, it was through this sacrifice that the Taj earned its true stripes as a national monument. It was no longer just a hotel for the rich, it was a pillar of the city's resilience. When India finally achieved independence in 1947, it was fitting that the Taj was the site of the final farewell to British troops, marking the end of the colonial era that had birthed the hotel through an act of defiance. The resilience of the Taj Mahal Palace was tested most brutally on a warm November evening in 2008, a date that would forever etch a scar of fire and blood onto its storied facade. This modern chapter of the hotel's history is perhaps its darkest secret, not because it is hidden, but because of the sheer weight of the human cost that transpired behind the smoke-filled windows of the Heritage Wing. When 10 heavily armed terrorists infiltrated the city's landmarks, the Taj became the epicenter of a 60-hour siege that felt like an eternity. The hidden cost of this landmark was suddenly measured in the lives of the guests who had come for a peaceful stay and the staff who, in an extraordinary display of the Taj culture, refused to abandon their posts. Waiters, chefs, and managers, some of whom knew the labyrinthine service tunnels better than their own homes, guided guests to safety through the darkness, often placing themselves between the bullets and the people they were sworn to protect. This was the ultimate, tragic fulfillment of Jamsetji Tata's vision, a staff so dedicated to the sanctity of the guest that they viewed the hotel as a home worth dying for. In the aftermath of the attacks, as the fires were finally extinguished and the domes were blackened by soot, a new kind of secret began to take shape: the immense psychological and structural struggle to rebuild. The restoration was a monumental task that required the precision of a surgeon and the soul of an artist. Artisans were brought in from around the globe to replicate the 19th century moldings, the vaulted ceilings, and the intricate woodwork that had been incinerated. However, the most difficult restoration was not the limestone, but the spirit of the institution. The hotel remained closed for nearly 2 years as it underwent a transformation that cost billions of rupees, far exceeding the original construction budget adjusted for inflation. During this time, the dark secret was the profound grief that permeated the silent hallways. The Tata Group, maintaining their founder's ethos, continued to pay the salaries of every employee and funded the education of the children of those who had fallen. The Taj was being rebuilt on a foundation of communal mourning, turning a site of trauma back into a symbol of Mumbai's unshakable defiance. Today, the Taj Mahal Palace Hotel stands as a paradox of opulence and memory. While the luxury has been restored to a level that surpasses its original glory, the ghosts of 2008 remain a part of its silent narrative, honored by a simple, elegant memorial in the lobby that bears the names of the fallen. The hotel has become a living testament to the fact that the most elite landmarks are often the ones that have paid the highest price in human suffering and resilience. It serves as a reminder that the cost of greatness is never just financial. It is paid in the loyalty of the workers, the vision of the founders who never lived to see their success, and the blood of those who protected its walls. As the sun sets over the gateway of India, casting long shadows across the Taj's red dome, the building remains a guardian of Mumbai's secrets, a place where the echoes of colonial insults, wartime surgeries, and modern tragedies are all absorbed into the timeless, elegant silence of its marble corridors. Quote,